Man, that last video was a bit of a doozy. I actually remember physically sweating when I was editing that video, and I must have watched it like 35 times before I posted it, but I'm glad I did. And you know, the common theme running through that video was us avoiding what we know we must do, distracting ourselves in the infinite web of content out there, be it in form of tutorials, gear acquisition, sample addiction, whatever. Indulging in all the crap that is only going to take us further and further away from what's most important to us. Which breeds the question, well, how do we know what's most important to us? It sounds crazy, I know, but believe me, this can be a pretty big, scary question that not a lot of us could answer with confidence. And a lot of you have been asking this in regards to some of my other videos in relation to finding your sound and the direction of your music, and that I told you what to do, but I didn't tell you how. Well, okay, all right. To answer that one, we're going to talk about death. And just remember, you wanted this. Now, on this channel, we've spoken a lot about values, our purpose, and doing what's most important to our soul's evolution. But sometimes defining our purpose or our direction can be a challenge. And the idea of one's purpose or one's path is something that's fascinated me for most of my life. Honestly, I've done so much work on this over the years and is something that in the past I've struggled to define for myself. I mean, it sounds crazy, right? Like not knowing what to do in this life or what direction to head in, not knowing what you know you must do. Does that even make sense? And I know a lot of people can get really uncomfortable around this subject because it can be somewhat confronting. It makes you take a good hard look at yourself and you may not be ready to uncover what you find. Now, I take it that you've landed on this channel and not a channel talking about the daily struggles of becoming a pastry chef, that you're into music and that your purpose in life falls somewhere around making music. And if I'm right, then I just have one question for you. Perhaps you've never even asked this question before, but I often ask this question to myself, and the question is, why? Why make music? It's a brutally simple question, but I guarantee you it's not so simple to answer. I could honestly reflect on this question until the day I die, because I honestly believe that this is the key motivator in all of us. Why we do things is the one thing that will keep us focused on what we know we must do. You know, that motivation's not going to come from what we do or how we go about doing it, but why we do it in the first place. I mean, honestly, knowing this is going to catapult you out of bed in the morning. Clearly defining why you make music is probably the most powerful tool you could ever need. And do you know how I figured out why I make music, or that my purpose was to make music? Well, there are many ways to figure this out, some better than others. I've heard of one method of sitting in a quiet room with absolutely zero distractions except for a pen and paper, and not to come out of the room until you have something. Could take you days. Could take you weeks. And I'm not sure if that method even works. I've never tried it. Or the other method is, if you were the last person on Earth, would you still do it? And that's kind of hard to imagine, to be honest. If I was the last person on Earth, would I still make music? You know what? I absolutely would. Headlining the main stage at a festival, playing all my own music to an audience of one. It's pretty baller, actually. But if I can be brutally honest with you here, the reason why I make music is because it's the one thing I know I would regret having not done with my life. This is the biggest motivator I can possibly ever imagine. Knowing that in this precious life I have, if I were to die tomorrow, I know I could die with no regrets. Sure, I may regret some stupid shit I did in the past, but I surely would have no regrets going after the thing that is most important to me. And this whole idea of thinking about my own mortality more seriously is actually one of the most freeing things I think I've ever done. Knowing that this life of ours is pretty fucking short, and whatever we need to do to be able to rest easy at the end, well, we best get on with it. If this is an area that you've struggled with, then don't worry, you are certainly not alone. Deep down, I think we all know what we must do. Deep down, I think you know. It's probably staring you in the face right now. But if you really can't lock it down, just ask yourself, now bear with me, if you were to die tomorrow, what is the one thing that you would regret not doing? No bullshit. What would you regret having never done? And you know what? It may not be making music, and that's okay. Maybe it's travel or having kids or climbing a mountain. I mean, who the fuck knows? I just know that if I were to die tomorrow, I could rest easy knowing that I gave it my all to music, and that I'll be leaving behind a legacy of releases that I am super proud of. Honestly, I reflect on this idea of my own mortality regularly. And if it's something that's kind of a taboo subject for you, I suggest getting very familiar with the idea that one day it's going to be game over. So what do you know you need to do in order to rest easy? And there you go. Did I answer your question for you? Does this wrap it up? Are we done with this subject now? Can we move on? I just made a video about death. Remember, you wanted this. I'd like to take a minute to thank everyone who's bought me a coffee to help support this channel. I really appreciate it. As you may be aware, I don't monetize these videos, and I certainly don't do paid promotions. But if you do love what I do and you'd like to support, then perhaps you may consider buying me a coffee. There's a link in the description. But I'm going to sign off for now. If you did like this video, then please remember to subscribe. It really does help. And be sure to give this video a thumbs up also. Until next time, keep creating. Bye for now.